What's up everyone, Conrad Neufeldt here, a nationally award-winning mortgage broker, and today we're going to be talking about the documents that you'll need in order to get approved for your mortgage. But we're not just going to talk about the mortgage documents that you need to get approved, we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts about how to send in those documents to us. And to do that, I brought in my broker partner, Mitchell Bryce. On our team, he is the one responsible for gathering and reviewing all of the documentation for all of our mortgages. Now, if you follow the guidelines that we're going to set out in this video, you're going to save yourself a ton of stress and likely a ton of work. A lot of home buyers end up creating more work for themselves by sending in incorrect documentation or the correct documentation in an incorrect way. If you follow these guidelines, this should make it easier for you. So let's start by going through some important parts that we want you to remember as you're going through the mortgage process. Number one, as a mortgage broker, we will never ask you for something we don't need.
Every document that we get, we have to review. So it takes time to do that. We want to make sure that we're doing that in a timely process so that you can go through your home buying process without too many complications.
And the last thing that we want to do is ask for a document that we don't need. We have more than enough documents to review in our day.
Absolutely.
Number two, whatever documents you're asked for need to be the most recent.
For example, if you're divorced, you would likely have a separation agreement from that divorce. If it happened, say, 7 years ago, that would be considered the most recent document that we would require.
But in the case of something like a letter of employment, in the event that you're not self-employed, that letter of employment would need to be within the last 30 days for it to be considered current. The employment contract from when you first got hired 7 years ago literally means nothing in this case. They want to see that you still work there, not that you have worked there. The key part here, though, is that the documents that we're requesting for have to be the most recent version of that document. Number three, your document list might vary from someone else's. There are a standard set of documents that's needed for every single mortgage application, but there are also subsets of documents that are required to handle special and unique cases.
Yeah, so the documents we request from you will likely be different from the documents, your friend had to provide when they got their financing. They may tell you, oh no, you don't need an employment letter, I didn't need one, but your friend also may be self-employed, which entails a whole different list of documents at that time. So keep in mind, the documents we send to you are for your unique mortgage application at this particular time.
Number four, documents can't be blurry or partial pages.
That's right. They need to be clear images that we can easily read.
You sound so mad, like you're going to scold them. Documents need to be clear. Tired of reviewing your bullshit. And we need to be able to see the entire page too. Corners can't be missing, it can't be folded over, it can't be the partial pages. One of the funniest things that we ever get to see is something that we call the Star Wars effect. You know when you're watching Star Wars and at the start of the movie, the font kind of goes away from the screen? Well, people take pictures like that too, where they're standing at an angle and really far, and you can read the first bit really well, but the stuff at the top is very difficult to read. So we need to make sure that when you take those pictures, that they are square images as well. Number five, the documents can't be altered in any way. Remember that when you're applying for a mortgage, part of the lender's job is to make sure that they are fighting against fraud. Therefore, any document that has been altered in any way can't be used for the purposes of mortgage lending.
An altered document could be considered something like a redaction in your bank statement or cutting off a portion of your employment letter that may be missing some important information that the lender needs to see. So be sure that all your information is being displayed clearly.
And a redaction, just for you if you don't know what that is, that's taking a Sharpie or a big black bar and covering information in your bank statements. Remember, the lender doesn't care if you've ate at McDonald's 17 times that month. What they do care is that you're trying to hide information from them. Number six, we're asking for a specific set of documents up front, but more may be needed.
When we pre-qualify you, we try to get the bulk of those documents up front. But once you actually have a live offer on a property, we may need some documents updated, and or some of the information that we receive in the initial documents we get may lead us to some questions that we need verified from you.
None of the documents that we're requesting from you should be difficult to get. In fact, not being able to provide them might be a big red flag for some lenders. So, what documents will we need from you? Well, if you talk with us, we'll be able to provide you with a custom list unique to you. But as a general sense, we'll typically need your government-issued photo ID. And no, this does not mean send us a picture of yourself on a camping trip. Make sure you send us a picture of a driver's license or a passport.
Another document that you will likely need, especially if you're employed with a company, is a letter of employment. That letter of employment needs to include the amount you make, how many hours you work in a week. Are you a permanent part-time? Are you a permanent full-time? When did you start? And, of course, as mentioned before, that letter needs to be dated within the last 30 days.
You'll also need to make sure, though, that along with that letter of employment, it comes with your most recent pay stub to also support the information that's found in that letter of employment.
Another set of documents you're going to likely need is your last 2 years' notice of assessments. The reason you need these particular documents is to show that you don't have any income tax owing from the previous tax year. If you did have taxes owing, we'll need to show that those income taxes have been paid up to date.
If you happen to be self-employed, instead of sending us your letter of employment and your pay stubs, which you won't have, we'll need to see a copy of the last 2 years of your T1 generals. That's your full tax returns from the previous 2 years. And if you're incorporated, we may need to see some corporate bank history to show that the company is solvent and not dealing with some financial stress.
Another important document that we will require is the 90-day history of the account your down payment is coming from. And if there's any large deposits into the account, we will need an explanation for those deposits within that time frame.
If the money is jumping around from account to account to account, we need to be able to see the full 90-day history as it moves through that account. So if you've moved things from your checkings to your savings or your savings to your checking, you'll need to provide us with a 90-day history of both accounts so that we can account for every single penny that is being used for your down payment. And don't worry, if a portion of your down payment is coming in the form of a gift, we'll make sure that that gift is deposited into your account and provide you with a letter to sign indicating the gifted amount.
Of course, you're also going to need a lawyer to help you with your mortgage closing processes. If you don't have a lawyer, you can reach out to us and we can make a recommendation for you.
And if you already own a property, there's additional documentation that we might require, like your most current property tax statement or mortgage statement for the properties that you currently have. So remember, as a mortgage broker, we're never going to ask you for something we don't need. Whatever documents you're asked for, they need to be the most recent. Your document list may vary from someone else's. Documents can't be blurry or partial. Documents can't be altered in any way. And we're asking for a specific set of documents up front, but as time goes on and as your file is reviewed, more may be needed.